I'm Jamie Ruby from Sci-Fivision. Thanks for talking to me. I appreciate it. I enjoyed the movie. So to start, what was it about the character, the script that made you want to do it? What did you connect with?
Well, my agents brought me the script, and I wasn't familiar with Dr. Ming Wang's story. And I did a little bit of research online and found some YouTube videos of some young patients that Dr. Wang had helped before. And, these are real videos of one specific girl named Maria who unbandaged her eyes, and miraculously, Dr. Wang provided her with vision where she had none before. And to see something like that unfold right before your eyes is just so incredibly overwhelming and inspiring, along with the script that our director and writer provided, Andrew Hyatt. I had an incredibly collaborative, open conversation with him initially, and decided at that point that I needed to be a part of the telling of this incredibly inspiring story.
What was the prep like? I assume that you talked to Ming before you did this to kind of get a feel for who he was. What was that like?
I did not get a chance to talk to
You didn't.
Dr. Wang before. Actually, my only conversation before I started was with our writer director Andrew Hyatt. It wasn't until we started into pre-production of the film that I got a chance to meet Dr. Wang and have some really deep and heartfelt conversations with him. Of course, we shot this film in 2021 in the midst of the pandemic, so we had quite a bit of time, through quarantine and other downtimes to share those stories and experiences, which offered me some really great insight into this man's incredible life.
I'm sure that it makes it easier, being able to talk to him even after the fact. But does that make it hard though? Do you worry like how it's going to, I guess, be presented? Even though obviously this is a good story and it's a, uplifting story, but do you worry at all about how the family's going to feel or anything like that when they see your portrayal after?
Well, Dr. Wang was ever present on set every single day. So the story is about him, and he had a direct hand into how that story was told through the writing process up to the shooting process. So I had him there to lean on at every moment or any moment that I needed. He made himself readily available. So, in those efforts, we tried to come up with an authentic telling of this man's story, and thankfully, he was there to guide us along the way.
Did you work at all with the gentleman who plays his younger self, your younger self? So it was more cohesive. Did you talk to him at all about that, or?
Well, there was a couple of iterations of Ming. One, he was eight, and that was played by Jaden Zhang. And then further along in his teens and his early 20s was brought about by a wonderful actor named Ben Wang. And both the kids portrayed a really, I think, accurate portrayal of Ming during those times because, of course, Ming was on set with them as well. But unfortunately, I didn't really have any scenes with them, so I didn't have any time. I
Right.
didn't even get a chance to meet Jaden. I spoke with Ben once, actually, at the beginning of production, and we talked about basically the evolution of the accent, because when Dr. Wang emigrated from China, he didn't know barely any English, and he learned it from watching movies. So Ben's portrayal of the accent coming through, from the Mandarin language into English was a beautiful evolution to where I came into the picture and carried the story forth. So there was some continuity in terms of just getting the accent right, and but that was really the only opportunity that I had to share with Ben.
Did you go into kind of the medical part of it all when you started researching it?
I didn't do extensive research into the medical part because, at the end of the day, I had Dr. Wang there to lean on and to reference. And if I got any of the lingo or terminology wrong, he was there to correct me. Certainly, I wanted specific details about, how the operating room worked and things of that nature. But those are all details that were offered up and that were confirmed by him by just having him there. So we didn't have any lag time in communication. It was, the immediacy of having him there was just such a luxury and really invaluable.
Was there anything that you did have difficulty with though?
Just stepping into this role was a bit terrifying and daunting. Of course, you want to be able to represent and offer an accurate portrayal, an authentic portrayal of this real incredible man's life. I think a lot of the emotional scenes with Ming's father, who's portrayed by Raymond Ma in my portion of the film, were quite intense just because of my relationship with my dad as well. It brought about a lot of memories and traumas that I endured when I was growing up. But those are things that needed to happen. And they say, turn your pain into art. So here I am.
Continuing with that, after having experienced that, is there anything about your life that changed or the way you look at yourself even differently after being on this film?
I mean, the film and this process has been transformative and cathartic. I have a 4-year-old son and a 2-year-old daughter now. And during the time of filming back in 2021, my son had just come out of the NICU where he spent 3 months, 4 months actually, because he was born 3 months premature. So he was in an incubation tank in the NICU, and they pumped these incubation tanks full of pure oxygen. And one of the results of that oxygen being pumped in there is we received a prognosis that there was a potential that my son's retina was going to detach because of being in the incubation tank. And how serendipitously I was working with a renowned eye surgeon at the time. So I was able to ask him some questions, and he directed me and gave me the number. I think I spoke to him within the hour when I had this first conversation with Dr. Wang, of a specialist that worked in the States, a leading eye specialist. And he gave me some really important information that empowered me, because at that point, being a new father, I felt incredibly helpless, vulnerable, and fearful about what was going to happen to my son. Thankfully, my son is very healthy, and his eyes are perfect. But it was a scary time, and that knowledge just really put me at ease in certain ways to try and understand his situation better.
Yeah, I can imagine. Is there any other projects that you have coming up besides this film?
There's a few actually. I'm lucky enough to have worked on, a couple of other indies about different families that are coming out. I've got a series called Under the Bridge that's out on Hulu right now. I'm in the last 2 episodes. Actually, they're coming out, I believe, next week and the following week, or the next two. And yeah, doing a couple of the things I can't talk about right now. So yeah.
It's okay. Is there something in particular you look for when you take an audition to decide whether to take it or not?
I really got into the game wanting to play as many diverse characters as possible. That was my only goal, and that's what I look for now is trying to find different characters to play, so I can't be locked in a box, as Hollywood often does want to put people. So I've been so fortunate and lucky to take on roles like Dr. Ming Wang, and other roles that are very different. So I hope that continues, and I'm just grateful to have the opportunity to be working as an artist and to be able to provide for my family.
So you have a lot of credits. What other than this one, what's been your favorite that you've done? Just out of curiosity.
There's really been so many. I mean, my first Hollywood film was a film called Almost Famous, where I portrayed, again, another real life character, Ben Fong Torres, original editor at Rolling Stone magazine. Another special one recently was a film I did with Viggo Mortensen. It was his directorial and writing debut that we shot up in Toronto and LA. That was a special one. And there was actually another one that another interviewer had mentioned, a show called The Expanse, actually, which I'm sure your audiences are familiar with. And that was a very special one as well, because the fans of The Expanse, the Screaming Firehawks, are tried and true and incredibly supportive. And this was during a time where I believe Sci-Fi had canceled The Expanse, and then Amazon came in and picked it up because of an incredible campaign mounted by the Screaming Firehawks. And we were able to get 2 more seasons out of it because of Amazon's involvement. So that was a very special one for sure.
I remember that. And I remember Continuum too. I think that's where I first
Continuum,
saw
yes, was a special
back
one
on that.
as well. Yeah, yeah.
Fun show. All right. Well, thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Like I said, I did enjoy the film. So thank you. Have a good
Thank
rest of
you.
your evening.
Yeah, appreciate your time. Thanks.